Welcome to the Live or Alone podcast, the podcast where two nerds who consume a whole lot of horror discuss their favorite pieces of horror media. From movies and TV shows to video games, novels, and everything in between. Because this is a spooky world, and we're just thriving in it. I'm your host, Sarah, the survivalist in your slasher friend group that will put up a lasting fight, but inevitably die because only the final girl can survive.
And I'm your host, Ian, the fearless fighter in your slasher friend group that tries to save the day, but ends up dying because physical strength just doesn't win in horror.
In today's episode, we're talking about a new horror movie with a lot of high expectations that many have said fell apart. The Watchers. What a new name. Anyway, brief synopsis of The Watchers. This one is from 2024. The movie with Dakota Fanning, in case you need to specify, because it is quite a generic name. An artist gets stranded in an untouched forest in Ireland and unknowingly becomes trapped alongside three strangers who are stalked by mysterious creatures every night. Okay, but before we begin, we always have to start off with a game. And the game that we're doing today is Stab or Survive. So a reminder to those who don't recall this game, it's essentially like this or that. So I'm going to ask Ian, or I'm going to tell Ian some names / characters from the movie, and he's going to pick whether or not he wants that character to stab, aka die, or survive, based off of his opinion only.
But can I say why?
Of course.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. First person, stab or survive, Mina, who is Dakota Fanning.
Yeah. I would survive.
Yeah.
Because I like the character.
Yeah, me too. Even though she's not totally likable. But yeah.
She's not likable, and we'll go into the negative and positive, but I would let her survive.
Okay. So the second person, stab or survive, Madeline, who's the older woman.
Well, you'd stab her because you know what happens to her. But in the beginning, I think I would have let her survive.
I mean, just generally based off of your opinion of her.
Generally, I would have let her survive.
Okay. Alright. Number 3, stab or survive, Daniel.
I would let him live too. Survive.
Oh my gosh. You always do this. You always let everybody survive because you're a nice guy.
Yeah. Alright, let me see.
I don't want to sway your vote, though. Because for me, I would say stab on Daniel.
Okay, why? Because he was a...
He's annoying and
he was a loose cannon. Yeah.
Well, of course, they've got to have one in the movie, right? But...
Oh, yeah, alright, I'll kill him because he fucked with them, remember?
Yeah.
He fucked with them really bad. He locked them up outside.
Yeah.
That
okay.
was fucked up, yeah. Stab
or survive... I don't know how to say her name because they were saying it differently in the movie, but Sierra?
Yeah. I would stab her too. She's a waste of time.
Oh my gosh. I would let her survive.
She was the nice
person.
She was a nice, I don't want to be like sexist. She was a nice woman or mom taking care of everybody. She wanted to take care of him too.
Like she's the caretaker in the group. Yeah.
She wanted to take care of him too, and then you don't know if she liked him because the other guy was saying that he likes her. The other one, Madeline, was saying that Danny likes her, likes her as to be a couple relationship. Ew. But then she was acting like I'll take care of him. So it's like, what?
Wasn't she married?
She was, but the guy got killed. Remember? She said
right, but like, what? You just move on to the next dude that's there?
I think Madeline thought that they were gonna live there forever, so she was gonna have to be with him.
Okay.
I got questions though, but we'll see.
Anyway, we've definitely gone off with Daniel, but with Sierra. But the last one, and this is kind of like a joke, so don't take it too seriously. Stab or survive, Ishana Shyamalan.
Wait, you forgot one person, but I'll do it afterwards.
Well, I want to end off with this one.
You want to end off with her? All right.
No, you could go.
Let's end off with her, but let me jump in first.
Okay.
Stab or survive, The Watchers.
Oh.
The Watchers. I really thought you could say The Watchers.
I should have put that in. That's funny.
You go first.
I mean, they're an ancient species, so I'm going to say survive.
I'm going to say survive. Let them stay in that wooded shit.
As long as they're in their area.
But I just don't know what they do. Oh, yeah, they're hunting and shit. Yeah, they're in the area. They can live off the birds and shit. Yeah, they're good. Let them live.
Okay, but you didn't answer mine.
Now. I'll let her live. Let her live and have another chance to learn from this shit.
Spoiler, we don't love this movie. It's not totally did I say it right? Ishana's fault. But, fun fact, M. Night Shyamalan's daughter directed.
I think I don't want to say her whole bio because I don't know it, but I know she did a couple episodes of Servant.
Oh yeah.
Like she started doing that. I think she wants to follow in her father's footsteps. So I don't know if this was like a big thing for her because it was like her first movie, but she definitely matched to what her dad does.
Oh my gosh!
In his new movies,
you jump straight to the point.
But we'll talk about that afterwards. I didn't go deep into it.
Okay, all right. We'll give her another chance, is what we're saying here. So we're letting her survive.
Yeah.
100% a joke, by the way. Like, nobody take us seriously, obviously. But let's jump into the conversation. So why did we pick this piece of content? Well, it's a new movie, right? It came out a few months ago. And
it's on HBO already. Like, you can watch it if you get HBO Max. And then it's for like $9.99 HBO Max for the month. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to rent this movie, it's $5.99. So it's I don't know if it's like that high end, that good, because when we saw the other movie, what was it called? Long Legs. It was $19.99, like a lot to see it.
To be fair, Long Legs came out and we watched it the same weekend it came out on streaming. To be fair, whereas we're watching The Watchers now, but it has been out for months. Don't know when when it released on streaming, but I mean the gist you're trying to say is that because it's cheaper, it's not highly desired.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. We did hear a lot of mixed reviews when we heard about this movie coming out. Like, a lot of really positive things, of course, associated with, the name Shyamalan, but also really bad things.
And also, I think because it's linked with HBO, like, they get a percentage of it. Mm. So I don't know if they do that to try to spread it out more, to make more money off of it.
We don't know
I don't know how they make money in there.
The nuances of streaming. Yeah.
Anyways, it's on streaming, so anybody and everybody can watch it. But do you recommend they watch it?
I mean, that's what we're getting into, right? We're starting with why we watched it in the first place. We watched it in the first place because it's new. We wanted to check out something new. We do have experience, obviously, with M. Night Shyamalan. And, our experience with him is a love-hate situation. We love some of his movies, probably his older, well-known movies, and we kind of hate some of his newer stuff, and I feel like a lot of people resonate with that, but we wanted to check out this one because it's obviously directed by his daughter, and there's a lot of high expectations, so that kind of segues into the things that we like about it. Let's start with what we like, because I know Ian has a lot to say about what he dislikes, because, of course, we started off by saying that we dislike this.
Okay, so what do you want to go first? What do you like?
I will say, at least in the start of the movie, I would say maybe 75-80% of this movie has a really eerie, dark, spooky vibe because it takes place mostly in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, I would like that. I would like to add on to that. But yeah, no, I do like that. I like that it was in the woods. It was modern, but it was also like in the woods, so it's like secluded. So some scary shit's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's kind of like modern classic. I feel like we've seen a lot. Obviously, we know the trope of getting lost in the middle of the woods. Blair Witch vibes, of course. We love that. For me, personally, that's one of my favorite things because it's so close to reality. It's extra disturbing. But we have also been seeing a lot of movies as of late that are that whole something's happening in the woods vibes, but they take like a new perspective on it. Like, we saw a movie few years ago with a bunch of guys that went out on a trip, and a bunch of shit happened in the middle of the woods, and it was a modern take. Can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, it kind of has like a new modern take on the classic shit, we're stuck in the middle of the woods vibe, which I like. I love eerie shit like that. Like
you would say, like, Scream is in like the city and all that shit and like houses and stuff.
Yeah.
And then this is like not camping yet, but straight up in the woods in the dark.
Yeah, it gives you those same vibes, even though it's a completely new perspective on it, which is cool. I like that.
And then that way that you're fucking lost.
Yeah.
And you don't know where to go, where to turn.
That's like the appeal of Blair Witch, right? And we get that same feeling when we're watching this, at least in the beginning. So yeah, I like that. Another thing that I liked, great performances. We've got Dakota Fanning making a return. I feel like she's everywhere right now.
Yeah.
And she did great here.
She did good, yeah. The acting was not bad at all. It was really good.
I think everybody acted well,
It was better than that shit movie, Abigail.
Oh, God. Did we even do an episode on Abigail? We didn't even do...
We saw this movie, Abigail. And
Everybody knows Abigail.
The little vampire girl. And the acting was...
Listen, another time, another episode. We may do an episode on that one, but ooh, we don't have great feelings about it. But anyway, great acting. We love Dakota Fanning, Nusa Falasha. Another thing that I liked is, well, we talked about this a little bit, but the horror of being in the woods in the middle of the night. There were a lot of scenes. Obviously, I feel like the scariest part of this movie is in the nighttime when they're in that little house, whatever it is, with the giant window.
And you don't know what the hell's
and
going
you don't
on.
know what's going on the outside. That was the biggest appeal of this movie to me when we were watching it, because you don't see the monster, you don't see like the big reveal just yet. It's like that creepy, I don't know what's going on feeling that kind of like seeps into you, and you just you're unsettled the entire time. That's what I love the most.
The scary thing that I liked the most also is how they're stuck in there, and I was just like, are they showering? Are they using the bathroom? And yeah. I know they're watching the same some fucking bachelor shit dating shit show over and over again because they start repeating it. Yeah. But she gets the draw in it, so that's a cool thing. Yeah. But it's like, I would fucking go crazy. Yeah. It's the same shit every night, and then they're watching them sleep. And they're sleeping like, they're not even sleeping comfortable. Like, some of them are under the bed, some of them are on the bed. It's like, where did they get a bed for them? It's like, there's a lot of fucking questions. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I like your look at it because I feel like it's the complete opposite look that I have on it. So your look is a little bit more practical, a little bit more like looking at it as a social experiment for these humans. And that's a huge element of the movie, right? It's a massive social experiment almost on different sides, different perspectives, different characters, which is very scary. And then on my side, I'm looking at it from the more classic, traditional kind of eldrich, in the middle of the woods kind of horror. And both of them kind of come together. We had a conversation about this, which we'll get into when we talk about the dislikes. But we were getting into like the logistics of, is this a horror movie? And what parts of it are horror, what parts of it aren't horror. So
I would say there's a little horror in it.
I mean, we kind of just dissected it there. Like, there are definitely parts of horror in this.
At first, when I saw it, I was like, this shit is not horror, but there is a horror to it. Because it's like humanity horror. Like
it depends on how you look at it. Because for me, I was looking at it from the perspective of horror. But you took the social experiment side more, so... Which is probably majority of it, to be honest.
And then the shit with the well, we'll go to the dislikes. Let me see what else I liked about it. I like the color of how all the colors were like popping. Like the parrot was like super yellow.
Yeah, good point.
It was like a beacon, like the sun. And their colors were like really like dark.
It was very dark.
It was very dark, yeah. But I liked how the tone of the movie.
Yeah, me too. For some reason, a lot of these movies take place in the woods in Ireland for some reason. I feel like we've seen at least 3 movies now 3 or 4 movies taking place in the middle of Ireland. But anyway, another thing that I liked is the lore of this. Because again, we're talking about a movie where, you know, a group of people get lost in the middle of the woods and, you know, they're kind of battling a monster that they can't really battle in a direct way. And then they slowly unravel the lore behind these creatures, behind these monsters. And I kind of like that it wasn't something...
made up shit?
Yeah, like uber made up, uber supernatural. It was something more ancestral. It was something more like faith-driven. Yeah, so it feels very close to reality and feels like this could really happen in the middle of the forest in Ireland, which we all know at this point. I like horror that can be, you know... like reality. Close to reality.
Yeah, you're right. This could really happen and you don't know who's who.
Yeah.
And they're all like masks. And they said it like changeling.
Yeah.
And we knew what changeling is, so we knew that they were like shapeshifters.
Yeah, it has like it's very close to reality in some instances to a point where it's like, this could happen. And that's the scary part of it. And then the final maybe it's a like, I don't know, but the twist. We were watching the movie and we're like, surely this is not the end of the movie.
Yeah, I thought that shit was the end. I was like, if that shit is the end, this movie is
There was a section and we're like, no way, this is the end of the movie. And then, of course, there's a twist. And I feel like M. Night does this in his movies as well. So we were kind of expecting the twist, but I wasn't really expecting that twist.
It was like a full twist and it was actually closure.
Yeah.
Like there finally wasn't closure in the movie, or was there?
I think there was.
Yeah.
But it was like an answer to a question that you were thinking about for a long time while you were watching.
Yeah. So that was good.
I liked the twist. You liked it? Did you like? You didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it coming, but it was also like when it happened, I was like stereotypical.
Well, what? I mean, it touches on human emotion and what humans want.
Oh yeah, but it was like they could have They could have written out better because I think it was kind of rushed.
You think so?
So that's like the dislike.
Kind of, yeah. They kind of pieced that reveal together super quickly. Maybe it was a bit too unrealistically quick. And basically what we're talking about, the twist, if you're watching this, we're ruining the shit out of it, so we're just going to say it. But the twist was that there was like a professor living at the pit of this house that was in the middle of the forest, that all the main characters were kind of seeking solace in the entire movie, and that professor was trying to take one of these changelings, which are the things that are watching, the watchers, and turn one into his deceased wife. Right? I'm getting that right.
Yeah, but it's like, how did he... I think they have to look at her, so I don't know if they're looking at videos, and that would change it to her, or I don't know if he took some of her DNA and then merged her skin together, because remember they were like, oh, you're half human.
Yeah.
Half ain't. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They didn't really explain it. They rushed the shit at the end.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because if I think of, like, even me trying to say it back, I'm a little confused and fuzzy on how we got there. It's like we got there, but maybe we got there because the characters forced us to get there by saying, oh my gosh, he was trying to replicate his wife.
Yeah, and then it was like the story of how they were like locked up in this big ass tomb. Like, how could nobody see that shit? Like, if you fly with a helicopter, you can see that shit.
That's true. And it was giant.
It was gigantic, like
or
a big fucking
giant.
circle. And then it was like they all came out and then they started collecting like newspapers and shit. Like, what?
Also, like, if you go missing, aren't people looking for you?
Yeah, and they will. The police and shit will come out there.
Did they even explain that? I can't remember.
I mean, they had no, remember they had no service with the phone and shit?
Right, but like, were their loved ones not looking for them?
Yeah. Oh, and also, I guess because every time you go into it, it disappears or you get lost inside of it. So that's why nobody would go in there. They would lock it off. I don't know. They were really trying to like block it off from anybody finding out, like a big secret. But somehow they could run away. You could run away if you go to a boat.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't explained, like, just keep going forward and you'll go to the boat. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. This is like a perfect segue into our dislikes, because the top dislike that I have for this movie, and I think Ian will agree with me, is that there were a lot of loose ends. Basically, a lot of plot lines or storylines opened as you went through the movie, and not all of them got resolved. Not all of them felt complete, so it was like, but why did you talk about this thing when nothing happened? And then they dropped it and they just kept going with other things.
And you're like, what the...
It was too much.
It was, yeah, I think it was too much. There was kind of, what was it, an hour and a half? No, it was an hour and 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But there was so much shit going on, like, oh, something happened with Dakota, with Mina, and then something happened with Daniel. Like, I think she tried to do, like, this character is like this, so later on, this character is gonna act this way. It was too fucking, like, staged. Like, Dakota is a rebel.
Yeah.
So this time she's gonna keep trying to find out why if to rebel, and then when she knows that's to rebel, she'll stop rebelling.
Yeah.
But then she'll rebel over here again because that's what she is. I'm like,
yeah.
what?
That's true. That's true. And they even threw in a flashback to explain why she was
the
like
rebel.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like maybe they tried to cover all the bases when it came to the characters when they didn't necessarily need to. Like, we were talking about the characters when we were doing the stab and survive round. Some of the characters were probably more dispensable than others, so you didn't need to do all of that with some of the characters. And then you threw in an additional character midway through the movie, and then you threw in a bunch of other things right at the end of the movie to explain the origin of the changelings.
Madeline, like, knew every fucking thing about them, so I'm like, how long you been here? And she's like, I've been here for a long time. Nah, bitch, you are one of them. But it's like, how do you know all that shit? Don't come out at night, this and this. I'm like, yo.
And nobody questioned her until Mina showed up, which is wild to me. Like, How do you just have blind faith in someone that you just met in the middle of the woods where you got lost for the eternity of your life, potentially?
And if the changeling like to the watchers, they like to watch you, then why the fuck would they want to kill you?
Yeah. I guess...
It's stupid because when they want everybody to say this so you can change it to them and then kill them afterwards, they were just like, let me kill you.
But I guess they wanted to kill them because they started rebelling against them. Right?
Yeah, but it's like... when you want them to stay there forever and make somebody comfortable and just keep watching them.
Oh, you mean make them comfortable?
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know, I don't make them live long so you can see the life of a human, how it goes through.
I mean...
It did not make sense. Most of it did not make sense.
Maybe that was the hope, and then Mina showed up and like fucked everything up. Maybe that what it was. I don't know.
And then the one of the dumbest things is how she went down the hole. I guess they stayed down there because they can't be out in the daylight.
Yeah.
So they were hiding in the hole, but then I saw like a whole bunch of newspapers and bicycles and all kind of shit.
Yeah. Weird.
And then what's her name? Madeline threw out the bicycle. She threw it down there so that they wouldn't leave because she wanted to stay too.
Weird.
It was like fucking weird. Like, what's going on down there?
There is just too much. There's too much going on and too many things where it's like it wasn't explained. And you all know I'm not the type like Ian to want like an over explanation, but
some kind of explanation.
Some kind of explanation would make sense. And if it can't be explained properly through visual, then maybe just don't put it in the movie. I don't know.
I would give this movie we're doing ratings now?
No, we're not doing ratings.
I would give this movie a...
When did we start doing ratings?
6 out of... What do you think? Do you think it's worth a 6 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10?
Maybe a 5 out of 10. Like, I'm so neutral about it because, like, it's not terrible, but it's not really super.
Do you recommend it to somebody to watch? Or...
I wouldn't say not watch it. Like, the performances were good.
Yeah, that was good. And
there were some spooky parts.
Yeah, there were. Oh, yeah, you would see them in the background, like, really far and then running at you.
Like, some of the scenes were pretty spooky. I would say maybe, like, the first 50% of the movie was solid.
Did it remind you of M. Night? I can't say his last name. Did it remind you of him? Like, if you did not know it was his movie, did you think you... Some
parts, because you know what? There were some, like, slapstick, like, jokes, and he likes to do that.
Also, where's her cameo? That ruined it. Remember he's a cameo?
She doesn't want to be known to do exactly what her father does, but...
He's in all his movies cameos. I was like, where's your cameo? What if she's one of the watchers?
Well, I did some research and I did not find that. But if we figure that out, that would be interesting to know. But
she dressed up as one of the
She doesn't have to do everything exactly like her father.
I know, that is going to be like too similar.
That's corny. We forgot to talk about the last dislike, which is this fully horror? We were just talking about it, but we never like...
So, you want me to go first?
Is it? Do you think it
is? I think it is slightly horror because of the horror of humanity and how people interact with each other and how it could happen, like in reality, that there's other beings out there that take over us. It reminded me of that movie Us, of how there's an alternate version of us.
Yeah.
At the same time, it didn't feel like horror. It felt like some psychological shit and like some prison shit. Like, I mean, they're locked up and there's some kind of things watching. It felt like sci-fi, like aliens.
Yeah.
Like there's aliens out there watching you and you're locked up, like if you get abducted.
Yeah.
Because they basically got abducted. And I was like, okay, so they go outside and they get food still. Because they're walking around and they're fending for themselves or whatever, eating and stuff. And I'm just like, so they're fine over here, but nobody's showering. And they're not explaining nobody's showering and they're taking shits in buckets. They have a bucket there.
So we've realized that Ian is really concerned about their hygiene. They're very, very concerned.
That's true, but also it's like they're comfortable over here. So I'm like, where's the horror? And it's only at night when the watches come out. But I'm like, I mean, there was scary parts like when they're knocking on the door and stuff. That was fucking scary. Like I was like, oh shit, they're knocking on the door. They're gonna come through.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay.
I wouldn't say that they were comfortable. Comfortable is a very strange word to say. I would say they were coping, perhaps, with the situation, and they were getting friendly with each other as a necessity. I wouldn't say they were happy. I wouldn't say they were like, oh my gosh, this is like the dream. I definitely don't think that they were happy. But they were making do, and I think in reality, if you were placed into that situation, you would try to survive. Yeah. So you would be friendly with the people that you're with, but also every single evening you would be terrified. It's like seeing a freaking monster every single time you go to bed. That is not pleasant. And then you have to actually sleep through it, knowing that they're staring at you. That's terrifying. So I think it is horror in those moments and that's majority of the first half of the movie is like that. So it definitely feels like horror at those moments. Now, once we get to the latter half where they started to smush all of the explanations in and we realize it's sort of like alien invasion mixed with a bit of like
biblical shit,
biblical faith,
angels,
indigenous beings, all sorts of things like
convoluted shit.
That's when it starts to get convoluted, and that's when it starts to feel like sci-fi. So I agree with you. Like, once we start talking about alien invasion or, kind of invasion of the human form, that's when it starts to feel like sci-fi, at least in my opinion. So I definitely agree with you there.
It felt like Avatar.
I don't know about... Okay.
Nah, you saw this on episode of they're like super dolls, like Avatar.
I guess. That's definitely not how I felt when I was watching.
Sorry, Avatar. Remember they take over? It's your Avatar, so then they would take it over to turn it to you. So it was like... Yeah,
but you put a freaking Avatar next to one of those things. Which one is scarier?
Oh yeah, you saw their faces. Like
they weren't cute. They weren't, like, cuddly and, like, oh my gosh, just a tall little, tall little alien. No, it was scary. It was. Okay, so I think we can end things off here. And our point on whether or not this movie is a horror is our prompt for this week's question. So head over to Instagram at livealonepod. And we always do a weekly discussion post. So as you're watching or listening to us now, you can head over there right now and you'll see the prompt. And the prompt is... do you consider alien-type invasion movies to be a horror or a sci-fi? Or maybe both? Or maybe you have no preference? Let us know. Obviously, we shared our thoughts on what we think it is. But thank you so much for listening. If you liked today's episode and you want to hear more from us, definitely give us a follow on social media. Once again, we're at livealonepod on Instagram. We're also on TikTok and YouTube. We do uncut episodes on YouTube, so if you're not into the Spotify, Apple stuff, you can watch us talk about this movie, The Watchers, on YouTube. And tune in next Wednesday because we are going to be talking about a pick-your-own-adventure style video game that I finally got around to finishing, The Quarry. But for now,
we'll see you in the kitchen with a knife.